Welcome back from the holidays. You are onto your favorite show, Inside Nigeria, coming to you live from Leadership Podcast Studios. My name is Tion Joseph, and this morning, please permit me to start the show with our lifestyle and fashion magazine, Live Vogue. On to Live Vogue this morning. Studio, please display Live Vogue. Nigerian women in tourism. Now, every man or woman on the street should have a copy of this fashion and lifestyle magazine, especially women, because the edition talks about women who want to show and see how women support women. So grab your copy right away at the nearest newspaper by you. Let's move to the next Nigerian daily. We have Leadership, which is Nigeria's most influential newspaper. On leadership, the lead story says 2023 campaigns, INEC threatens sanctions as states clamp down on opposition parties. The first bullet says, destroy candidates' billboards, posters, impose huge fees on venues, relocate party secretariats from strategic locations. Governor's action poses threat to peaceful poll, CSOs, IPAC. The very last bullet on leadership this morning says PMD governors must protect rights of parties to hold rallies, says Sir Rap. That is all we have on the leadership this morning. But please do well to hop onto our website, www.leadership.ng, to have the stories and even much more. Let's head on to the next daily. On my list, we have The Nation. The lead story on The Nation this morning says PDP is a party of termites, can't return to power, says Tinubu. And the one and only play we have this is Buhari lists winning strategies at Tinubu Shetima Women Team inauguration. That is all be taken on The Nation this morning. Let's head briskly on to the next daily. On my list, the next daily will be The Blueprint. This story says 2023 women are APC's most loyal supporters, Buhari declares. First bullet says one's party, Tinubu against Abuja-based campaigns. PDP, party of termites, Tinubu, says Togara, Babachi, imposters, not APC members. That is all we're taking on The Blueprint this morning. Let's move quickly to the next Nigerian daily, and I have The Punch. This story says Atiku campaign, PDP governors hit Uyo with 15 private jets. Wow. First story says Wike Oton Makinde, two others absent as party begins 2023 electioneering. Next one says Obaseki holds South-South stakeholders meeting. Uyo Diri Udom pledge support. And the very last bullet on The Punch this morning says, are you appeased to aggrieved governors? Says party needs everyone to rescue Nigeria. Let's move fast on to the next daily, which is also the last before I hand over to the panel discussion this morning. We have the Vanguard. On the Vanguard, the story says, same fate ticket, Dogara, ex-SGF, orders, imposters, APC. There are a lot of bullets here, but I'll just take the first one so that the panel discussion will do justice to the remaining. Says Dogara officially no longer a member of APC. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for the first part of the show. The show is just getting started because Bodek Badebo is already in the studio, ready to do justice to these stories and even much more. So please stay tuned and join us again tomorrow by 10 a.m. for much more. My name is Tion Joseph.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
All right, still inside Nigeria for this Tuesday morning. My name is Bode Gbadibo, and of course, thanks to Tion Joseph, who earlier read out the headlines for you. But now let's go into details about what the headlines are saying. And I've been joined by Mr. Nkamiang John, a public affairs analyst based here in Abuja. Good morning, Mr. John. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. It's a great opportunity to discuss major issues happening across the country.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so let me quickly flip the headlines for you to see before we delve into the discussion. And of course, let me show you first Nigeria's most influential newspaper at the Leadership. Now, you see what we have on the front page of Leadership this morning. INEC threatens sanctions as states clamp down on opposition parties. You know, this is a common thing. It's a common thing year in, year out. Ruling parties are always against the opposition parties in their domain. And of course, the next newspaper, the Nation newspaper, let me show you what we have on the front page of the Nation is politics. PDP is the party of termites, can't return to power, according to the APC presidential candidate, Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course, the next newspaper is the Punch newspaper, is also politics, talking about the PDP again. Atiku campaign, PDP governors hit Uyo with 15 private jets. And that's on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Now, let me show you the next newspaper. The Blueprint newspaper, on the front page of the Blueprint, is also about politics, but this time around about the ruling APC 2023. Women are APC's most loyal supporters, Buhari declares. Well, that's according to the president, Muhammadu Buhari. And of course, the last newspaper is the Vanguard newspaper. The Vanguard is talking about politics too, and again about the APC. Same faith ticket. Dogara, ex-SGF, others are impostors, according to the ruling All Progressive Congress. APC. Now, Mr. John, let's back to business. Let's start with what the leadership is saying this morning. INEC threatens to sanction states. INEC threatens sanctions as states clamp down on opposition party. I know you are aware of this culture where a governor in the state does not want.
It's not a new phenomenon. We have.
Yeah. Mr. John, go ahead. Let me have your take.
It's not a new. Yes, the governors of the various states have the political mandate of delivering their states, especially in the forthcoming 2023 elections. So it is expected that they must be able to guarantee victory for their various. They end up scuttling or stifling every opportunity that the opposition party or parties, as the case may be, because right now, for the first time in the history of the political structure of Nigeria, we are seeing not just one opposition, but several oppositions and several candidates with almost impeccable resume gunning for the top positions, particularly the presidency and even the governorship of some of these states. So it's almost inherent for some of those governors to ensure that they deliver their states for their political parties. But unfortunately, this is against the rules, because despite the fact that it is politics, there must be fair play as far as all participants are concerned. It must be seen to be a level playing field. But unfortunately, in Nigerian politics and sadly African politics, the ruling party most times does everything possible to frustrate the efforts of the opposition parties or other parties that are contesting in elections.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nkamian. You need to hang on. The discussion is just starting, and we need to go on a short break. I'll come back to you in a moment.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. It's still Inside Nigeria for this Tuesday morning. And of course, I've been speaking to Mr. Nkamian John, an Abuja-based public affairs analyst who has been helping us to dissect the front pages of the national dailies this morning. Mr. Nkamian, if you can hear me now, there is an example. Something just happened recently in Rivers State, where the governor, Yeson Wike, issued an executive order 21, telling all political parties not to campaign in all public schools again, except they obtain permission from the state Ministry of Education, and I think with a prescribed amount of money. This is what we are talking about. Do you think INEC possess the capacity, the board, to actually deal with this kind of situation that is unfolding in Rivers State?
First of all, I think we need to thoroughly understand the approach of the executive governor of Rivers State, whether the motive behind such an action is political or more in the interest of the people of the state, particularly in this case, the students and pupils of public schools across Rivers State. Now, if you check the rules that govern how politics is done in this country, even the NBC has a law that says that you cannot play political adverts that has children or minors or underage in it. So if you look at it from that perspective, from the legal perspective, from the, would I say, common sense perspective, then you will understand that it may not be politically motivated on the part of the governor of Rivers State in the person of Nyesom Wike. He may be, as the executive governor, may be protecting those pupils and minors from being politically influenced by politicians, which he is one of them himself. So let's not be too quick to come to the assertion that it is because of the elections in 2023. I believe that if any political party has the true interest of a state and the nation at heart, they must take into consideration the sensitive parts of the demographic, and especially when we're talking about the minors and young children. In as much as we want them to be politically savvy, but it should be introduced from the educational standpoint and not from the political standpoint. Because again, if we must look at it, these are minors. They do not have access. They will not vote on during the elections. Their votes will not count. So, but if it is in the sense of giving them some kind of political orientation, fine. One can look at it from that perspective. But from the moral justification standpoint, I don't think this should be politicized. I just believe that as a citizen, that the governor has the right to protect the interest of the minors and students. If the political parties want to campaign, they don't need to go to schools. If they must go to schools, they can go to higher institutions where you have students who are at the age of 18 and above and who are legally liable or legally, certified to be able to cast their votes during election day. Those are the people they should be campaigning to. After all, like they say, they are the leaders of tomorrow. So they should begin to be part of the electoral process. But to go as far as primary schools and the secondary schools, I think that in itself is a wrong move on the part of the political parties. And it should not be politically misread to be that the governor is trying to clamp down on the opposition in the state from campaigning.
All right, Mr. John, we will have to move away from that because of time. But even though I'm supposed to actually take you on that issue more, because it's like shifting the goalpost. Wike has campaigned in public schools for 7 years. Now, less than 1 hour to leave the office, is making a law to change the narrative. So for me, or to people out there, it may seem like shifting the goalpost, but you say we should not take it that way.
Yeah, well, these issues are, for me, are
since Mr. John's connection is freezing, but then we need to move away from that for want of time. Now we move to the next newspaper on our menu this morning, and that is the Punch newspaper. I hope Mr. John connection is back. On the front page of the Punch.
Non-political. We must apply some level of common sense.
All right, thank you, Mr. John. Now, let's move to the next newspaper on our menu. It's still the same politics. Our PDP governors hit Uyo with 15 private jets. Does this have any meaning?
I know. Yes, it will have meaning in a country. Yes, I mean, it will have a meaning at a time where, in a country where there is serious economic crunch, Inflation is in triple digits. Some states have not been able to pay workers' salary. They've not been able to pay pensions. Some states are yet to, deliver the dividends of democracy. And now that it is the electioneering season, governors are flying about in private jets that you and I know cost, almost an arm and a leg to purchase and to maintain. So, of course, it will raise an eyebrow, but this should be expected. This is probably going to be one of the biggest elections in the political history of Nigeria. And so some of these governors will try to flex their political weight, and it should not be surprising. They went to Uyo to flag off the presidential campaign for the presidential flag bearer of the PDP in the person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, former vice president. So it's supposed to be a show. It's also supposed to be a show of power, a show of dominance, a show that the PDP are no pushovers, because they seem to be the main opposition party in going into this election. Let's not forget, as I said earlier, that for the first time in the history of Nigerian politics, we are seeing oppositions, not just one opposition, but oppositions. But in this case, the PDP want to be able to tell the ruling party that, look, we are ready for a battle. We are ready for a political war, as the case may be. We want to wrestle for what we believe, should be rightfully ours. The PDP has not fully recovered from losing the elections in the last 8 years. It has not fully recovered from the hit they have taken in the last 8 years. So they are trying to make a political statement, but let's not sensationalize the fact that the governors went there with 15 private jets. I think what is more important is what the PDP is bringing to the table with the flag off of the presidential campaign of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president of Nigeria. What are they bringing to the table? I particularly wonder why they chose Uyo, South Nigeria, to flag off the campaign. Is there a political undertone in the choice of Uyo as the venue to flag off the political campaign? Is Atiku Abubakar and his running mate, the governor of Delta State, Patrick Okowa, are they trying to tell Nigerians something by choosing this location and by flagging off from the south region of Nigeria? One would have expected that this flag off would have taken place somewhere else, but for it to have taken off in the south part of Nigeria, there seems to be a political undertone. But most importantly, I think the questions that Nigerians should be asking at this point in time is, what exactly is the PDP bringing to the table? They have made an impressive statement to the opposition with the flag off of the presidential campaign, with the turnout there in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. But again, is that enough to send shivers down the spine of the current ruling APC and, of course, other parties that are in the running for the presidential race in this forthcoming election? These are the questions that are begging for answers. And I think in the next couple of days, as these candidates continue to unfold their manifestos, their plans for Nigerians and Nigeria in the coming days, it becomes clearer for the voting populace where they can pitch their tent come 2023.
Justice to that, while dissecting that story, you also asked pertinent question: what is PDP bringing to the table in 2023? I didn't know. Yes. I don't know if you actually listened to Atiku yesterday, promising Nigerians that it will end insecurity, it will end hunger. I don't know whether it should be trusted, but these are issues facing Nigeria, I think Nigerians at the moment. Insecurity, hunger.
I think it's not just about being trusted. He has to earn the trust of Nigerians. That, for me, is integral. He has to earn the trust of Nigerians. But you see, I think the subject of promising to end insecurity, providing jobs, at this time of our development as a nation, I think we have gone way beyond that. What we need is a leader that understands the yearnings of the people and can turn the fortunes of the country around without having to make flamboyant statements, but rather has the pedigree and the integrity to be able to deliver. Because over time, Nigerians have noticed that their leaders are men and women who lack integrity. They say one thing from one side of the mouth and they do another when they get into political office or public office. So there is a need for a leadership structure that suggests some progressive, result-oriented approach to dealing with the myriad of issues that plague Nigeria as a nation and Nigerians as a people. So the subject of insecurity, I mean, what for me as a Nigerian, what I want to hear is what would be the approach, what strategy will be put in place under this current administration. We have seen a boots on the ground approach, which has not yielded so much of a result. They have succeeded in some areas. They have been able to contain some of these, especially if we look at the Boko Haram situation. They have been able to quell and contain that situation to a certain extent. But unfortunately, it has also given birth to offshoots. The Fulani headsmen and all kinds of security challenges that we are faced with across the country currently. Kidnapping has become the bane of the day. But I think for Nigerians right now is who has a workable, result-oriented solution to delivering results as it relates to the subject of insecurity, the subject of unemployment, the subject of power, the subject of a versatile, robust economy, the subject of growth, inclusive and exclusive growth, the subject of price control in our local and national markets. So these are the pertinent questions that these candidates who have put out their credentials and who are gone in for the #1 seat of the largest black nation on planet Earth have to bring to the table to convince the average Nigerian that they deserve to be given the mandate to rule this nation. So for most Nigerians, I think that question remains: what exactly is it's one thing for you to say you're going to end insecurity, you're going to ensure there is enough food to go around, but how will you do it? In what way will you tackle it? Those are the important details that Nigerians require.
All right, thank you, Mr. John. Now, lastly on that story, there is something that looks like PDP's Achilles heel. Now, if you look at that story, the first rider is saying 5 governors were absent. Rivers State Governor Wike, Benue State Governor Samuel Otom, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, Enugu State Governor Uguayin, and of course, Victor Ikpeazu of Abia State. Now, this governor's agitation, the agitation. To you, is it justified, or they're just playing to the gallery?
Well, what you must understand is that politics is a game of interest. And if all interest is not protected and covered, there will be fractionalization within the party. And that is what is happening in the PDP. The PDP over time has had its fair share of fractionalization. At one time, it was almost predicted that the PDP going to disintegrate. But going into the 2023 elections, we have seen a situation where some persons, of course, it's a known fact that one of them, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, is very aggrieved following the fallout of the national convention that gave Alhaji Atiku Abubakar the ticket to run as the presidential candidate of the PDP. So And this issue has not been fully addressed. They have put forward a number of requests. And top of that request is the fact that the national chairman of the working committee and the board of trustees of the PDP, in the person of IU, has to resign. And unfortunately, this has divided the House into two parties, two fractions. And there is yet to be some consolidation between the two parties because attempts have been made, several attempts have been made on both sides to come to some kind of agreement, some kind of understanding, but it has not yielded the kind of results that these parties want. And so it's not surprising, to be honest, that Governor Nyesom Wike, Governor Ikpeazu, and a host of others did not show up, because they have made it clear that they belong to this divide. They agree with the position that the national chairman should, resign, so that there would be proper restructuring of the leadership of the party going into 2023. Now, let's not forget that these are politicians. They are looking at the political chessboard. For them, it is the interest of the party first, rather than individuals, and if you follow the career path, the political career path of a Governor Nyesom Wike, you will know that he is a party faithful. He is probably the only governor in the PDP that has never cross-carpeted or what's the word now? Moved to another party. He has been rated by several political parties, but he has refused. He has stuck with the PDP. And I think that counts for something. And he has always said that the party reigns supreme. So at this point in time, what we expect is that if the Atiku Abubakar-led camp truly believe that they must win the 2023 elections, there is a need to come to the dialogue table and once again, put heads together and come to some understanding as to how the PDP wants to execute the elections in 2023. Without that, we may see a very not so formidable PDP going into the elections.
Mr. John, I'm sorry, I see we have to take you back. Now, I asked you whether the agitation is justified or not. Now, I heard when you said politics is a game of interest.
It's a game of interest.
Yes, accepted.
It's a game
but
of
is the
interest.
agitation justified in the sense that they are asking for the resignation or removal of the national chairman? The national chairman was not appointed. The national chairman was elected pursuant to certain provisions of the party's constitution. So how do you just unilaterally wake up and remove such person without committing any known crime? So is this justified?
When you say, don't forget there is an allegation of bribery. We have had situations where members of committees have returned huge sums of money. You're talking about a national chairman that is sitting over several billions of naira. So let's not say he hasn't committed a crime, though. Like it has not been proven.
So it has not committed any crime. So long it has not been proven. It has not been investigated. It has not been proven.
As it is said,
allegations.
He said, he's innocent until proven guilty, no doubt. But now, at this point, we must look at the political equation going into the 2023, which is
because of time. Mr. John, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Because of time.
Yes.
Talking about political equation, because earlier you said these people carry weight and it may affect the PDP in the general election. How much political capital is Wike worth? Is it beyond River State?
It's beyond River State. It's beyond River State.
If Wike has a case against the national chairman or the party's candidate, as the case may be, what will you say is the case of Samuel Otom against the party? Samuel Otom was the chairman of the committee that advised PDP to throw open the presidential contest. What will you say is the case of Otom against the PDP? What is Seyi Makinde's case against the PDP? What is Ugwuanyi? What is Ikpeazu's case against the PDP? We understand Wike contested in the primary years, he lost, and he has issues.
Well, the case here is about fair play. The case here is about a PDP that offers a level playing ground for all parties concerned. That's basically what it is. For these governors you have mentioned, they have a right, like every citizen, to pitch their camp with whoever they believe has the capacity to be able to, run the affairs of not just the party, but the country as well. So you must understand, as I said earlier, and I maintain, politics is a game of interest. Certain interests have not been protected going into the 2023 elections. And if those interests are not taken into consideration, it may come back to haunt the PDP.
I'm sorry to cut you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Talking about interest again. Interests have not been protected. So let's get it right. These interests at stake, are they Wike's personal interest or Southern interest?
That's now you're talking. It's Southern interest. If those interests, take for example, if those interests were taken into consideration in the first place, there will not be a Labour Party. There will not be an obedient movement. Why? Because an OB will probably be the running mate of Atiku Abubakar, and that would have sealed and guaranteed certain powers for the PDP going into the 2023 election. You see, you have to look at this, you must look at the big picture and then begin to dissect it to understand the various interests that are at stake. And that is why I say that if Atiku Abubakar does not do the needful by bringing all these parties together and trying to consolidate, going into the 2023 election, obviously it may just be a losing battle for the PDP.
All right. We need to move away from that to the last two newspapers on our menu this morning. And this last two papers also, covers the APC matter. Now let's move to the third newspaper on our menu. That is the Nation newspaper. I've shown you the front page of the Nation earlier, Mr. John. You see what Tinubu is saying. PDP is a party of termites, can't return to power, says APC. Is this politics or a statement of facts? Let me hear from you, Mr. John.
It's a political statement.
Okay. It's a political statement. So he said they can't return to power. What does it tell?
Kinds of tantrums. Well, that is his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion.
When he says they can't return to power,
don't forget.
Is he saying? Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Don't forget, he is a presidential candidate running for the APC, the ruling party. If you understand the way politics works in this part of the world, the ruling party has the upper hand. The paraphernalia of offices at their disposal, a lot of things is at their disposal, and they will not hesitate to put those machineries to play to ensure and guarantee that they win the election. So he's talking from a standpoint of that he has certain guarantees, considering the fact that they are the party, the current ruling party. So based on those guarantees, it gives him the confidence to believe that they wield some power, they wield some certain machineries that will guarantee that they win at the polls come 2023. Where they have consistently pointed out the fact that they do see the PDP as a serious opposition. Now they have also understood that beyond the PDP, that the Labour Party is also a strong opposition because of the kind of following that the Labour Party has managed to galvanize in such a short time. So you must understand that this kind of statements are to establish that, look, we are not afraid, we are the ruling party, we are the ones in power, and there's no shaking. We know that we will win come 2023. And this kind of statement should be expected across board as far as the elections are concerned. So Bola Ahmed Tinubu is entitled to his opinion. But I think it is advisable that all candidates should watch the tone and be very careful with the kind of statements they make going into the elections in 2023.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nkami and John. Now we need to move to the next newspaper too for want of time, and that is the Vanguard newspaper. I showed you earlier what the Vanguard reported this morning, talking about same-fake tickets. Dogara, ex-SGF, Babachi Lawa, others are impostors, according to the APC. And let me read the first rider for you. Says Dogara officially no longer a member of APC. Mr. John, what does it tell you? Because I remember this same APC included Dogara's name in its presidential campaign council list.
Yes.
Now they are saying he's no longer a member because he holds an opinion which differs from theirs. What manner of a party?
But I think this tells us the character of the people that make up the APC. This tells us of what to expect going into the 2023 elections, that the APC seems to be a party that is very rigid when it comes to opinions. They are not very open. They are not favorably disposed to the idea of people expressing, whether it is personal or collective opinions. They feel that whatever has been put on the table must be swallowed hook, line, and sinker. And I think for Nigerians, this poses a big question. Would we want this kind of leadership going forward? Or do we want a liberal leadership that will allow for a cross-fertilization of ideas and opinions, especially at this critical stage of our development as a nation? So it's sad to see that even within the APC, they do not have peaceful resolution structures or structures that help them, resolve internal wranglings and help to be able to bring the best of opinionated ideas to the table for them to be able to, choose what works for them. Instead, they have this rigid posture that seems to suggest that they are not open to conversations or ideas that suggest them looking at other options beyond that which they are fixated on. So I think Nigerians should learn to read between the lines. If the APC and any other political party is already giving this kind of body language, this kind of signs going into the 2023 elections. And I think it is also to their detriment, because when the likes of Dogara and Bacha and the rest of them decide to return to the PDP from which they had come from, that will definitely have some effect on the expectations of the APC, I beg your pardon, going into the elections.
All right, Mr. John, one thing that keeps surprising me is also the APC's disposition. This is a party which told Nigerians that religion does not matter. Competence is the key thing. Yes, and when they want to unveil the running mates to their presidential candidate, Kashim Shettima, they brought in some bishop to give it a semblance of a kind of a balanced atmosphere. So if religion does not matter, why bringing some person in a uniform to give the impression that is a balanced atmosphere? Now, this same Dogara and Babachi are already spearheading another alternative platform. They said they want to get a candidate that will be acceptable to all Nigerians and that will not be divisive and, that will not unsettle the polity. Because according to them, the APC's Muslim ticket can unsettle the polity. I don't know if you believe that, but that has some implication for Nigeria's unity.
First of all, constitutionally, Nigeria is a secular state, meaning that we are neither Muslim nor Christian. It means that we are, as citizens, we have the freedom to worship whatever religion we choose to worship. And for us to politicize this, it's like sitting on a keg of gunpowder. From the very instance that the APC came out with a Muslim ticket, the entire polity had been unsettled. Because let's not forget, the current administration is also, it seems to be balanced. But when you look at it from the standpoint of the fact that the president is a Muslim, there seems to be more dominance when it comes to that religion, in the current administration. There is a subtle agreement within the political circles that there must always be that balance, especially going into the elections. But for some reason, the APC, because of its rigid posture, has decided that a Muslim ticket is what they want to use going into the 2023 election. Again, the likes of Dogara and Bacha have a right to their opinion. They have a right to want to, in their own way, to protect the interest of the Nigerian state and the Nigerian politics by insisting that there should be fair play. There should be a fair playing field as far as the presidential ticket is concerned, religion-wise. But again, if the party has already taken this position, it only puts them in a very questionable situation, because the question will be, where were they in the build-up to the primaries that gave birth to a Muslim ticket? And of course, that also suggests that they don't wield the kind of influence that they think they will, because if they had such strong influence, they probably would have been able to influence a Tinubu and his shadow cabinet, as it were, in suggesting that they shouldn't go with a Muslim ticket, but rather go with a Muslim Christian ticket, just as the current administration did in the last 8 years, to ensure that at the end of the day, that the party gets victory, But unfortunately, it is what it is. We just have to see how things panned out in the next couple of weeks, especially in the build-up to the elections. Naturally, the body language of Nigerians it has been one of dismay. Immediately, the APC came up with a Muslim ticket. But again, the question remains, who will build the cat? And that's why, for political watchers, it seems that the third force might just be the best option for Nigerians going into the 2023 election. But then, until May 23rd, 2023, we'll know if truly things have changed and if the dynamics have shifted in favor of the polity.
Many thanks to you, Mr. Nkami and John, an Abuja-based public affairs analyst, for joining us on the show this morning. I hope to see more of you
so
whenever the need arrives, Mr. John. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And of course, that's the size of the program this morning inside Nigeria. Make a date with us tomorrow for the midweek edition of the show, where Winifred Obebo will be holding forth. My name remains Badibo. It's bye from here.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.